Infinity Stones. The Infinity Stones, formerly known as the Infinity Gems and the Soul Gems, are powerful artifacts that originated from a primordial universe, found below the Quarry of Creation and inhabited by celestials. That universe contains countless Infinity Stones, which get sent to other universes by the celestials. The first of the Infinity Gems to appear in the Prime Marvel universe was the Soul Gem, which was given to Adam Warlock by the High Evolutionary. Thanos was the first to use the 6 Soul Gems in unison. He intended to destroy the universe by using the Soul Gems to destroy the stars. He was stopped by the Avengers, Adam Warlock and Captain Marvel. The Elders of the Universe were the second entities to use the gems in unison. Connecting the 6 Soul Gems to a device, they were able to use its beams to absorb the life energy of Galactus and transfer it to a barren planet, giving it life. However, the Silver Surfer interfered and destroyed the machine, and the gems were lost in a black hole. Galactus also punished some of the Elders by consuming them. Because the Elders of the Universe were barred from entering Death's realm due to prior machinations of the Grandmaster, Galactus soon found himself being poisoned from within by the Elders he consumed. To save Galactus, who asserted that only one of the gems had the power to absorb the immortal Elder's souls inside his body, Silver Surfer, Mr. Fantastic, and the Invisible Woman journeyed through the black hole to recover the gems, where Invisible Woman became possessed by the sentient Soul Gem and had her evil malice persona awakened. She was later subdued, but the whole scheme turned out to be work of the In-Betweener so he could use the gems to destroy Galactus. Reed, Sue, and the Silver Surfer were able to get into contact with Master Order and Lord Chaos, and the two entities agreed to aid them in stopping the In-Betweener. They then used their powers to free the Elders of the Universe who were trapped inside Galactus and restore him to full strength. Master Order and Lord Chaos then dealt with the In-Betweener before he caused any more trouble and entrusted 5 of the Soul Gems to the Elders of the Universe, while the In-Betweener was imprisoned by his masters and retained his gem. Infinity Gauntlet. After being resurrected, Thanos gazed into the Infinity Well and realized the gem's true nature, so he set out to acquire all of the Soul Gems again, now named Infinity Gems. There it was revealed that the Infinity Gems are the remnants of one of the earliest beings from the time of the universe's creation. Feeling lonely, it split itself into 6 different fragments. Under unknown reasons, each individual gem became associated with a particular facet: power, space, time, mind, soul, and reality. The Infinity Gems were kept by the In-Betweener and by members of the Elders of the Universe who, on the contrary, were not aware of the true essence of their gems. The Mad Titan Thanos then gathered these gems into the Infinity Gauntlet. He took the Soul Gem from the In-Betweener, the Power Gem from the Champion, the Time Gem from the Gardener, the Reality Gem from the Collector, the Space Gem from the Runner, and the Mind Gem from the Grandmaster. Thanos used the Infinity Gauntlet to remove from existence half of the population of the universe in order to gain Death's love. In the end, Thanos was defeated when Adam Warlock was able to gain possession of the Infinity Gauntlet. Infinity War. Adam Warlock was brought before the Living Tribunal because of the danger posed by the Infinity Gauntlet in his hand. After being shown that Adam Warlock was too mentally unpredictable, he was required to surrender it. Since it was too dangerous for it to be possessed by anyone, the Living Tribunal decreed that the Infinity Gems were too powerful to be used together again. Warlock then formed the Infinity Watch. During the Infinity War, Magus, Adam Warlock's evil persona, tricked Galactus into convincing Eternity to agree to the activation of the Infinity Gauntlet so he could conquer the universe. Magus defeated the heroes using the activated Infinity Gauntlet. Still, Adam was able to defeat the Magus when it was revealed that the Reality Gem was a fake, and Adam, taking advantage of this distraction, was able to trap the Magus in his Soul Gem, though the act left Warlock in a comatose state. Ultraverse. The gems were later stolen by the Vampire Rune from the Ultraverse and dispersed throughout the Ultraverse. Several heroes and villains were also pulled into the Ultraverse, including Adam Warlock. In that universe, another gem, the Ego Gem, was found. It claimed that it was the main consciousness of the Infinity Gems, the original being, and was now ready to reclaim itself. The gems gestated as Nemesis, but were defeated by the Avengers and Ultraforce, alongside several alternate reality versions of the same teams. With its defeat, the Ego Gem was seemingly destroyed. The gems were found to be back in the universe by Galactus, who planned on using them to end his unending hunger. He is seen taking the gems off a vampire's skeleton, presumably Rune, that he retrieves through an interdimensional portal. Galactus' plan fails, and instead allows a deadly interdimensional parasite, named Hunger, access into the Earth, 616 universe who was mentally influencing Galactus' actions all along. Thanos intervened and destroyed the gateway. After Hunger is defeated, the gems are scattered throughout the universe except for the Soul Gem, which Thanos retrieved for Warlock to get back. Illuminati. Champion would find the Power Stone and use it to give him an advantage over challengers he fought in his arena but agreed to stop using it when She-Hulk told him it's a weapon, which weren't allowed during his challenges. The Power Gem later fell into the hands of Titania, before being taken by She-Hulk. She-Hulk turned the Power Gem over to Mr. Fantastic for safekeeping, which prompted Reed to seek help from his fellow Illuminati to gather the remaining gems with the objective to ensure they wouldn't cause any more trouble for the Earth. Once the gems were all brought together in the Infinity Gauntlet, Reed tried to will them out of existence, but failed. Yuta the Watcher then appeared to the Illuminati and expressed his disappointment in Reed and the Illuminati. The Illuminati then divided the gems amongst themselves. Iron Man received the reality, Professor Xavier the mind, Namor the time, Black Bolt the space, Doctor Strange the soul and Reed Richards the power gems. Due to the events following the gathering of the gems, the Illuminati disbanded for a time. After the Hood stole 3 of the gems, and while looking for the 4th one, the Illuminati gathered once more and, with the Avengers' help, stopped him. After recovering once more the 6 Infinity Gems, they again divided the gems among themselves. This time, Namor received the power, Mr. Fantastic, the reality, Professor Xavier, the mind, Captain America, the time, Iron Man, the space, and Doctor Strange, the soul gems, and disbanded once more. The group assembled after the Black Panther discovered that the Earth was affected by the incursions, a multiversal phenomena that caused the periodical collision between realities. In an attempt to stop the latest incursion, the Illuminati assembled the Infinity Gauntlet. Even though Captain America managed to prevent the incursion, all the gems shattered, with the exception of the Time Gem, which simply vanished. The Time Gem unexpectedly returned some time later and transported the Avengers through time. During each time jump, the gem returned more of the heroes back to the present until only Captain America remained, who was rescued by Iron Lad. Following a confrontation against Iron Lad and his future counterparts, Kang the Conqueror and Immortus, Captain America retrieved the Time Gem and used it to return to the present, though it vanished again afterwards. Infinity Countdown. Following the destruction of the entire multiverse and its eventual restoration, the destroyed Infinity Gems were recreated and scattered across the universe. The Collector and the Grand Master allied themselves with the Guardians of the Galaxy to find the stones, as they believed they held the key to learn more about the destruction and restoration of the universe. This was because from the point of view of its inhabitants, this process occurred in a blink and went mostly unnoticed, and only powerful beings such as the Elders could sense traces of the mysterious reordering the cosmos had suffered. The Reality Stone, until then colored purple, emerged in Weird World, a sequestered dimension where it was known as the Wuxian Seed. After being shattered in a dispute for its possession, the Reality Stone took the form of a dragon-shaped ether and fled from Weird World. It re-emerged, now colored red, in a universe that was a dark mirror of Earth, 616, where it was later found and claimed by Captain Marvel. The Space, now colored blue, and the Mind Stone, now colored yellow, resurfaced on Earth. The former appeared mysteriously in a shield storage facility, with a failed attempt from Loki's part to retrieve it resulting in the gem ending up in the hands of Logan. The latter ended up in possession of petty crook Turk Barrett, who started using it to serve his own needs. The remaining 3 stones appeared scattered throughout the universe. The Power Stone, now colored purple, manifested in a giant size in the desert planet of Zitong, where it was found by the Nova Corps. The Time Stone, now colored green, restored the ruined planet of Sakaar, where it was later found by the Super Skrull, who planned to use the Infinity Stones to remedy the humiliation the Skrull Empire had suffered over the years. Finally, the Soul Stone, now colored orange, was located by the Magus after he forced the Contemplator to show him where it was. Magus didn't get to enjoy his success for long as Ultron/Hank Pym ambushed and killed him so he could claim the gem for himself, since he intended to assemble the Infinity Gauntlet and rewrite the universe. The Infinity Stones quickly changed of owners. Logan left the Space Stone under the care of Black Widow, the Power Stone was reduced to a handheld size and claimed by Star-Lord, the Time Stone was stolen from the Super Skrull by Doctor Strange, and finally, the Soul Gem was retrieved from Ultron's hands by Warlock with Kang's help. Kang had enlisted Warlock to stop the imminent calamity caused by whomever gathered the Infinity Stones in the future. Infinity Wars. After learning that the other Infinity Stones were on the move, Doctor Strange convened a meeting between its wielders to assemble a new Infinity Watch. The parley which took place on Earth was interrupted by Gamora, who had stolen the Power Stone from Star-Lord and used it to wage war against the other stone wielders. Gamora planned to claim all the Infinity Stones as part of a plan to reunite with a fragment of herself trapped inside the Soul Gem. In the end, Gamora emerged victorious and got hold of all the stones. To prevent opposition from her quest and to feed the being Devendra, who was responsible for the Soul Gems hungering for souls, Gamora used the Infinity Stones to fold the universe in half and merge the two halves together before sending the new universe into a pocket dimension called Warp World inside the Soul Gem. Gamora planned to create a reality once Devendra devoured all the souls inside the Soul Gem. She also sealed Loki into the Soul Gem when he asked to be her counsel. Gamora then traveled to the god Quarry to investigate what laid beneath it as she couldn't see past it. Gamora was unable to breach the barrier at the bottom of the god Quarry, and she was eventually confronted by Loki and his newly assembled Cosmic Avengers. Gamora had unintentionally created copies of the Infinity Stones when she brought Warp World into existence, and the Cosmic Avengers used them to escape the Soul Gem. Loki's team subdued Gamora and took the power, reality, and space stones from her. Loki in turn took these stones for himself in addition to the copies of the Soul, Time, and Mind Stones, thus assembling a complete set of Infinity Stones. He used the stones to send Gamora to Warp World before transporting himself to the unknown realm that existed beneath the Quarry of Creation, where he found the group of Celestials that guarded the deposit of Infinity Stones. Loki returned from beneath the Quarry of Creation, and used his Infinity Stones to render the surplus gems inert. He handed over his set to the Cosmic Avengers so they could repair the universe. After returning to Soul World and defeating Devendra, the Cosmic Avengers joined forces with Adam Warlock to restore the universe while keeping Warp World intact within the Soul Gem. Adam Warlock then used the Soul Gem to flee Soul World with the Cosmic Avengers and his allies while Drax the Destroyer sacrificed himself to keep the portal leading to the real universe open. After sending Gamora someplace to set her on a path of redemption, Adam Warlock decided to give the Infinity Stones sentience and let them decide their destinies in order to stop the conflicts over their power. All Infinity Stones left the Earth, save for the Time Stone, which merged with Hector Bautista, and the Reality Stone, which merged with Ripley Ryan. It is later revealed that the Power Stone was swallowed by other one, therefore merging with it. The Space Stone merged with a man called Quantum, and the Soul Stone bounded to a synthetic person called Multitude. Properties. On their own, the Infinity Stones provide great power. They form a circuit, meaning that mastery over the aspect of each Infinity Stone allows for better exploit of another. Assembled together, they create a positive feedback loop, granting the user infinite power. The gems are also sentient. The Infinity Gauntlet's power is known to exceed that of abstract entities like Eternity. Therefore, beings more powerful than the gems include the Living Tribunal, the One Above All, and Rabam Alo via the power of the Beyonders. Power Stone, powered by the user's mastery of mind. Increases strength and durability, enhances virtually any known superhuman ability, energy manipulation. It also supplies the other gems with their power/energies. Space Stone, powered by the user's mastery of power. Allows travel through space, mostly through teleportation. Able to interfere with the motion of other objects. Time Stone, powered by the user's mastery of space. Allows for time travel, stop, slow down or speed up flow of time, accelerate or slow down aging, see into the past and future, and bend time to the user's will. Reality Stone, powered by the user's mastery of time. Alters all of reality, similar to the effects of a cosmic cube, but much, much higher. Soul Stone, powered by the user's mastery of reality. Observe, attack or even steal a being's soul or spirit. Also used to revert individuals to their natural state. Mind Stone, powered by the user's mastery of soul. Near limitless psionic/psychic abilities including empathy, telepathy, and telekinesis. Gem Protectors. Originally, the Infinity Gems were protected by what would be known as the Infinity Watch after Adam Warlock won the Infinity Gauntlet and was put on trial by the Living Tribunal, being found too mentally unstable to handle the power. The Infinity Watch remained until the gems disappeared. Each member was selected by Warlock based on their unwillingness to use the gem's capabilities or inability to either access any of its power or full potential. Power Gem, Drax the Destroyer, chosen due to being unable to fully tap into its power. Space Gem, Pip the Troll, chosen due to only exploiting the gem's basic powers of teleportation. Soul Gem, Adam Warlock. Reality Gem, Thanos, chosen due to being intelligent enough to not misuse the reality gem's power. Time Gem, Gamora and later Maxim. While Gamora was chosen due to her skills, she was later replaced by Maxim after leaving the Infinity Watch. Mind Gem, Moondragon. Chosen because her previous failures in life and lack of self-confidence would disallow her from exploiting its full potential. However, safeguards were made to ensure she couldn't abuse its powers. One of them included not being able to read the mind of those within the watch. The gems were later protected by the Illuminati, and each member was given a gem to hide from anybody else. After the criminal the Hood tried to assemble the Infinity Gauntlet, the Illuminati retrieved the gems, but switched protectors. The use of the Infinity Gauntlet to prevent the collision of Earth 616 with another Earth caused all the gems but the Time Gem, which just vanished, to be accidentally destroyed. The Time Gem later reappeared and took the Avengers on a journey through time before disappearing after Captain America used it to return to the present. Power Gem, Namor, and Mr. Fantastic before him. Space Gem, Iron Man, and Black Bolt before him. Soul Gem, Doctor Strange. Reality Gem, Mr. Fantastic, and Iron Man before him. Time Gem, Captain America, and Namor before him. Mind Gem, Beast, and Professor X before him. Following the creation of the Eighth Cosmos, the Infinity Stones were scattered across the universe, passing through many hands before finding a group of owners that became the new short-lived Infinity Watch, from whom Gamora stole all of the Infinity Stones. Power Stone, Star-Lord. Space Stone, Black Widow. Soul Gem, Adam Warlock. Reality Stone, Captain Marvel. Time Stone, Doctor Strange. Mind Stone, Turk Barrett. During the Infinity Wars, Gamora created a pocket universe within Soul World called Warp World, unwittingly creating duplicates of the Infinity Stones that were collected by Loki and his allies. These were the final wielders of the Infinity Stones before Adam Warlock granted each gem their own soul so that they could live a life of their own. Power Stone, Emma Frost. Space Stone, Hulk. Soul Gem, Loki. Reality Stone, Kang the Conqueror. Time Stone, Ant-Man. Mind Stone, Ms. Marvel. Alternate reality versions. Marvel Cinematic Universe, Earth 199999. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Infinity Gems are referred to as the Infinity Stones, which are the Space Stone, the Reality Stone, the Power Stone, the Mind Stone, the Time Stone, and the Soul Stone. According to the Collector, the Infinity Stones were 6 different singularities existing before the beginning of the universe. Once the universe was created, they were scattered. The stones, which could be remolded only by powerful creatures, were first used by the Celestials, who used them to grant their race unknowable power, and dominate several planets. At some point, the Celestials lost control of the stones, and they fell into the hands of other races, such as the Asgardians and the Dark Elves. The Space Stone is able to generate an infinite amount of energy and generate portals to other locations and gives off a blue light. Residing in a cube known as the Tesseract, it was once possessed by the Asgardians and was described as being the jewel of Odin's treasury, but the item was eventually left on Midgard. In March 1942, during World War II, the Red Skull, the leader of the Nazi deep science organization Hydra, located and retrieved the Tesseract from a church in Tonsberg, Norway. With the help of his head scientist, Arnim Zola, the Red Skull used the Tesseract to supply power for the weapons used by his Hydra soldiers. Hydra's plans were foiled when Captain America and the SSR attacked Hydra's main location. The Red Skull tried to flee with the Tesseract, but Captain America was able to board his plane before it took off. When the two fought, the Red Skull was knocked into the Tesseract, causing it to react violently. The Red Skull vanished entirely when he handled the Tesseract directly, causing it to open a dimensional portal, and the object then melted through the aircraft and fell into the ocean. Captain America crashed the plane in the Arctic Circle, and Howard Stark recovered the Tesseract from the ocean floor while searching for him. In 1995, the Tesseract was studied in the Project Pegasus military base by Mar-Vell, in the disguise of Dr. Wendy Lawson. She and USAF pilot Carol Danvers were testing an experimental jet remotely powered by the Tesseract. The jet was attacked by the Kree, and Carol was irradiated by the blast of the destroyed engine, which gave her superpowers. The Tesseract was swallowed by a Flurkin, which came under the care of Nick Fury. The Tesseract remained in the custody of S.H.I.E.L.D., the successor organization to the SSR, until the early 21st century, when a fight between the destroyer and Thor devastated the New Mexico town of Puente Antiguo. Now aware of the existence of advanced extraterrestrials and fearing the threats they posed, S.H.I.E.L.D. tasked astrophysicist Eric Selvig with studying the Tesseract, hoping they could use it to develop weapons. In the following year, the rogue Asgardian Loki stole the Tesseract from S.H.I.E.L.D. for Thanos in exchange for a Chitauri army he could use to subjugate Earth. In response to losing the Tesseract, S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury assembled a group of heroes known as the Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye, and the Hulk, to stop Loki and retrieve the Tesseract. Loki had Eric Selvig, who he had hypnotized into doing his bidding, construct a device that harnessed the Tesseract's power to create a hole in space over New York for the Chitauri to invade through. The Avengers were able to stop Loki's plans, destroy his machine, and repel the Chitauri invasion. After the Battle of New York, Thor took the Tesseract back to Asgard, and Heimdall used its power to restore the Bifrost. Eventually, Loki went to retrieve the Tesseract before placing the skull of Surtur into the eternal flame in order to start Ragnarok. A short time later, Thanos and the Black Order attacked the ship that the Asgardians had escaped on, and Loki handed over the Tesseract so that Thanos would not kill Thor. The Reality Stone is capable of warping reality to the user's desires. It was transformed into a weapon known as the Aether by Malekith, leader of the Dark Elves, who sought to use the Aether to conquer the Nine Realms before he was stopped by the Asgardian king Bor. Malekith and a small number of his followers escaped into the dark reaches of space, while Bor had the Aether hidden away to ensure that it would never be found. The Aether was later reactivated by Jane Foster, who found the stone through an anomaly in London, and it bonded to her. Thor brought Jane back to Asgard for her to be treated, but the realm was attacked by an awakened Malekith and his Dark Elves seeking to regain control of their weapon. The Dark Elves were repelled, but the Asgardians suffered heavy losses. Thor decided to take the fight to the Dark Elves by taking Jane and Loki with him to Svartalfheim, where Malekith extracted the Aether from Jane and bonded it to himself. Even with the Aether bonded to him, Malekith was defeated by Thor and his human allies during the convergence. Believing that keeping two Infinity Stones in the same place would be too dangerous, the Asgardians left the Aether in the care of Tanalir Tyvan, the Collector. However, Thanos later traveled to Nowhere in order to retrieve the Reality Stone, likely killing the Collector as well. The Power Stone has the power to destroy any living material to come into contact with it, and emits a violet light. A former Ravager named Peter Quill, aka Star-Lord, found the Power Stone sealed in an orb on the planet Morag. It is unknown what happened to the stone between its use by the Celestials and its rediscovery, much less how it wound up on Morag at all. The stone was sought by the fanatical Kree accuser Ronan, who agreed to deliver it to Thanos in exchange for the destruction of Xandar, home of the Nova Corps, at Thanos' hands. Thanos' adopted daughter Gamora was sent to recover the orb from Star-Lord, but she planned to betray Ronan and her father by selling it to the Collector to keep it out of their hands. However, Tyvan's assistant Karina touches the stone, which causes an explosion. After discovering the magnitude of the stone's power, she and Star-Lord chose to take it to the Nova Corps, but Ronan obtained it instead. However, instead of giving the stone to Thanos, Ronan decided to keep it and destroy Xandar himself. After a pitched battle, Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket, and Drax the Destroyer were able to separate the stone from Ronan, saving the planet. Before leaving, the newly minted Guardians of the Galaxy gave the stone to the Nova Corps for safekeeping. At some later point, Thanos retrieved the orb and decimated Xandar. The Mind Stone has a variety of powers related to the mind, and was initially found encased in a blue crystal on the scepter, which was given to Loki by Thanos to aid in his invasion of Earth. When removed, the gem is revealed to be much smaller and emits a yellow light. Loki used the scepter to control the minds of several S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, including Clint Barton and Professor Selvig. The stone would hypnotize those who had the tip of its edge touched over their heart. However, the contact needed to be immediate, as the stone's power failed to work on Tony Stark when Loki tapped the scepter on the arc reactor in his chest. Although the Avengers did not realize the scepter contained another Infinity Stone, or even knew what an Infinity Stone was, they recognized that the scepter emitted an energy similar to that of the Tesseract, allowing Black Widow to bypass a failsafe built into the machine Loki used to open a portal for the Chitauri to invade Earth through. Following Loki's defeat, the scepter was kept in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, and was experimented upon by the joint organization's scientists. One scientist, Wolfgang von Strucker, who was a member of the Hydra cell growing within S.H.I.E.L.D. since the end of World War II, had the scepter transferred to his fortress in Sokovia before Hydra's conspiracy was exposed. Strucker found that the scepter could also augment minds as well as cause spontaneous evolution in varying degrees. Hydra exposed numerous test subjects to the stone's energy in an attempt to develop superhumans. Only 2 of Strucker's test subjects survived, the twins Pietro and Wanda Maximoff. The experiments gave Pietro a speed physiology, while Wanda was given various psionic abilities not all that dissimilar from the stones. The Avengers, who had reunited after the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., attacked Strucker's fortress once they received intelligence from Phil Coulson regarding it and the scepter's location. Iron Man recovered the scepter during the battle and brought it back with him to Stark Tower. Tony discovered in Strucker's files that the scepter, in reality, the Mind Stone hidden within, contained the basis for a truly artificial intelligence. Tony Stark and Bruce Banner used the scepter to develop Ultron, an artificial intelligence that could control the Iron Legion more effectively than JRVS. However, Ultron turned on his creators the instant he was brought online. Ultron believed the only way to save humanity was to subject them to an extinction-level event, forcing their evolution. The mad AI fled Stark Tower with the scepter and returned to Sokovia. Ultron ultimately decided that he, too, should evolve. Using the Mind Stone as a base for its intelligence and vibranium for the body, Ultron used the stone's powers to coerce Dr. Helen Cho into using her biotechnology cradle to create a new life form. The Avengers separated Ultron from his new body while he was transferring his intelligence into it. Tony Stark uploaded JRVIS into the body, but Captain America wanted to destroy it over fears it would turn out like Ultron. The matter was settled when Thor, who had seen the Mind Stone in a vision, used the power of Mjolnir to bring the android to life. Ultron's creation, now called the Vision, had the Mind Stone embedded into his head, and demonstrated his worth to the Avengers when he was able to effortlessly lift Thor's hammer. The Avengers, the Vision and the Maximoff twins, with help from Nick Fury and a team of former S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, put an end to Ultron's plans in Sokovia, with the Vision destroying Ultron's final body. The Vision was made an official member of the Avengers following the battle. Before returning to Asgard, Thor told Iron Man and Captain America that the android could be entrusted with the Mind Stone. When the Black Order came to Earth in order to retrieve the Mind Stone for Thanos, the Avengers decided to take Vision to Wakanda, where they could safely try to remove the stone without risking Vision's life. When Thanos eventually arrived, Vision, realizing that they were out of time, asked Wanda Maximoff to destroy the stone, even though it was still inside him. After Wanda destroyed it, Thanos used the Time Stone to reverse time, and took the stone from Vision's head. The Time Stone, which emits a green light, allows its user to manipulate time. Stephen Strange harnessed the Time Stone within the Eye of Agamotto to reverse the destruction Caecilius had caused on Hong Kong, and later to force Dormammu to leaving Earth alone by trapping Dormammu in a time loop. As Strange returned the Eye to Kamar-Taj, Wong noted he made a wise choice given the risk of walking around with an Infinity Stone. However, 1 year later, when Thor first met Strange, he was wearing the Eye of Agamotto, which presumably contained the Time Stone, around his neck. When the Black Order came to Earth in order to retrieve the Time Stone for Thanos, they took Strange, being unable to remove the Eye themselves. After torturing Strange to remove the enchantment on the Eye, Ebony Maw was sucked into the vacuum of space after being tricked by Tony Stark and Peter Parker. Strange, Tony, and Peter later landed on Titan, where they met Peter Quill, Drax, and Mantis. While trying to come up with a plan to defeat Thanos, Strange used the Eye to look forward in time to see over 14 million possible outcomes of the coming conflict, with them only winning in one. When Thanos arrived, a battle started between him, Strange, Tony, Parker, Quill, Drax, Mantis, and Nebula. Later in the fight, when Thanos was about to kill Tony, Strange handed over the Time Stone in exchange for Tony's life. The Soul Stone has the ability to manipulate life and death. It resided on the planet Vormir for an untold amount of time. Following his attempt to abuse the Tesseract's power, the Red Skull was sent to Vormir and cursed into being the Soul Stone's guardian. At some point, Gamora found a map leading to the stone, but destroyed it so that Thanos couldn't find the stone himself. After Thanos caught Nebula sneaking onto his ship to try and kill him, he looked into Nebula's memory and found out that Gamora knew where the stone was. Thanos later captured Gamora and forced her to reveal the stone's location by torturing Nebula. After revealing that the stone was on Vormir, Gamora was brought there by Thanos to retrieve the stone. Once they arrived, the Red Skull revealed that in order to retrieve the stone, a loved one must be sacrificed. Thanos, tearfully, sacrificed Gamora, obtaining the stone for himself. Having acquired all the stones, Thanos used them to wipe out half of the life in the universe in order to rebalance it. 3 weeks later, he used them to destroy themselves, so his work couldn't be undone. However, 5 years later, the Avengers had the idea to return to different points in the past and find the Infinity Stones again in order to undo the snap. They sent different teams to get the Time, Space, and Mind Stones in an alternate 2012 in Manhattan, the Reality Stone in an alternate 2013 in Asgard, and the Soul and Power Stones in an alternate 2014 in space. However, the 2012 team's plan went awry and they had to return further in time in order to acquire the Space Stone and Pym particles to return to the present. Black Widow had to sacrifice herself to get the Soul Stone while a past version of Thanos learned about his future and captured present Nebula to get there. Back to the present, the Avengers managed to rebuild an Infinity Gauntlet and bring back all the people erased by Thanos 5 years prior, but past Thanos himself arrived shortly after and announced his intention to acquire the Infinity Stones in order to destroy the universe and recreate so that its inhabitants wouldn't fathom what came before. His plan failed as Iron Man eventually got his hands in the Infinity Stones and erased Thanos and his army at the cost of his own life. The past Infinity Stones had to return to their proper periods of time since in case they didn't, they would unbalance the realities from where they came from and create multiple alternate timelines. When the Loki who used the Time Traveler intervention to escape in 2012 was taken into custody by the Time Variance Authority, he discovered that the TVA had many Infinity Stones from various erased alternate timelines, all of which were powerless. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.